This is a helpful beading tip from Turquoise String Beads in Fall River, Massachusetts. It is for an intermediate level beader and it relates to wire working. And today we'll be learning the first of a three-part series. We will be doing an earring, a circular earring as opposed to an oval, but it's the same technique. And this is the version that we're going to be doing today. I also have a little square version with my little signature spiral on top of the bead, as well as a little rectangular bead set here with a pendant and earrings. And today we will be using a white pearl. It's circular, and this is the finished earring that we'll be doing today. We have our pearl, we have two 4mm bicone crystals, a little daisy spacer, a little 6mm donut crystal, two micro crimps, a ball tip head pin, and your ear wire. And we're going to start out with a piece of 22 gauge sterling silver half hard wire, and we cut it to a length of 10 inches. And we start out with doing a wrapped loop, so I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, and we're also going to be using round nose pliers, your wire cutters, and a micro crimper. And the micro crimper is going to help close that little micro crimp around the wire so those beads like to stay in place. So right now, I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, make a wrapped loop, so I start with my 90-degree angle. I take my round nose pliers, and I start to make my loop. I move back to the chain nose to wrap that tail around. And you want to wrap the tail about 3 times. You want to trim that little end off. Then you want to tuck in this little tail so it doesn't nick anything. There's your little wrapped loop. We want to go ahead and put our pearl on. Bring it all the way down. We make another wrapped loop, so we take our chain nose, make our 90-degree angle, take our round nose, finish the loop, close it off, but this time we're not trimming off that tail. We want to keep it on. So we're left with our bead looking like that. So now we're going to go ahead, and I like to use my finger to kind of contour the wire a little bit before I bring it around the bead. And this helps to keep that curve nice and circular. So I'm going to wrap it around the bead first, and then I'm going to bump it out. And this all depends on the spacing that you want to have in between your bead and the wire. You could have more if you'd like, you just bump it out even more, or you can have less. You could even have it going right to the pearl itself. But right now I'm going to keep my spacing about here, and I want to make sure that it kind of meets the same spacing that I have on my other earring. And it looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead, and while I'm holding the wire and the bead, I'm going to pull the wire around my post, and it anchors it in place. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to contour my wire to my bead, and following the spacing, now this is going to be in the opposite direction, so I want to put my beads up here. I need to anchor them over here with the micro crimps. So we're going to go ahead and add those on. So we start out with one micro crimp. We put on our little bicone, our daisy spacer, the other bicone, and our other micro crimp. And here's where the micro crimper comes into play. Now making sure this is going to be the mirror image. You want these to be in the bottom. And using our micro crimper, we're going to just use that top part right there. We don't need to do both steps. We don't need to make the kidney bean shape. We just want to use the circular part, and we're going to close that crimp in place. Just give it a little squeeze, and now that crimp is in place. So that's all you need to do, and then you want to do it to the other side as well. And now we're going to go ahead and anchor this in place, making sure the spacing is what you like. Get that down first, and then close this up. And you want to close it about 2 times around the top. Now you can go ahead and trim that off. And always keep your scraps, because this is good. This is a good amount of wire if you wanted to do my little signature on top of a small bead like this. This is plenty of wire for that. So you always want to keep your scraps and keep them in a safe place off to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and tuck in this little tail that we left behind, making sure it's not nicking anything. And now we have our little mirror image. So we're going to go ahead and add on our donut. So we're going to use our little ball tip head pin. We're going to put the 6mm donut on, and we go ahead and we use our chain nose pliers. We make our 90-degree angle. We then take our round nose, we make another wrapped loop, and before we close this, we want to attach it to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and add this onto the bottom of my earring, and then I'm going to go ahead and close it. And you wrap this as many times as you can until it meets the bead. Then you want to trim this little tail off. Then you want to close this in again. And now all we have to do is add on our ear wire. So we're going to go ahead and open up our ear wire, placing this on, closing it back up, and making sure that it's all going to sit correctly. Now we have our pair of earrings. All set. This is it for now. We hope this was helpful to you. We'll have lots more helpful hints, so stay tuned. In the meantime, happy beading from Turquoise String Beads in Fall River, Massachusetts.